Hi, Dr. Ruth Anderson here with another session on Tenacious Leadership. I'm here with my colleague, Teri Angel. We are here today to acknowledge the work and service of Phillip and Jane Mountrose and Sally De La Rosa. I'm going to share with you about them in just a moment. Back in February, Archangel Michael gave us the title of Tenacious Leadership and asked that we acknowledge the efforts and impact of fellow light workers. I asked Archangel Michael, what does tenacious leadership mean to you? And he said, persistence and stalwart. Now, the definition of stalwart, I had to look up because I frankly have never used that term before. Stalwart is someone who is loyal and strong, reliable and sturdy. An example of stalwart is a loyal supporter of a cause. In this case, the cause is the spiritual development of others. Then COVID-19 took hold and changed how we all view the world. During these unprecedented times, it would have been easy for these three here to stay frozen in the uncertainty, to wallow in the fear, and to stay stuck, to stop putting themselves out there as a teacher or a guide. But it was during these times that these three chose instead to hone their calling and to step up from a place of heightened knowingness that their voices needed to be heard now more than ever. I often refer to leaders as someone who comes to the table. These leaders not only kept coming to the table, but because they are so in tune to the divinity and open to hearing the call, they redefined their ministries to serve even a greater good. This leadership, this tenacious sense of leadership, has made a very large difference in the lives of others. Each week for this series, we're speaking with leaders here at EWN who have devoted their time and energy and defined their lives by selfless service to others. Today, our guests are Jane and Phillip Mountrose and Sally De La Rosa. They've all been here with us on EWN in several different capacities. Jane and Phillip have a show with us here on EWN called Soulful Living, and they have done meditations for our Meditations a Day, as well as for our Days of Transformation. Sally has also been with us as a meditator. So welcome all. We're so glad that you're here with us.
Well, thank you, Ruth, and thank you for inviting us. This is beautiful.
So, you know, I often think of the Emmy season, Emmys and the Golden Globes season, as a time that really it's a disservice to other folks in other areas of the world, in other careers, other vocations. And it always bothered me that the only ones being honored and acclaimed were those in the movies or on TV shows. It really doesn't make sense to me. And so I always sort of boycott them in my own way. And Archangel Michael has provided for me this platform to raise you all up and say, thank you. We think the work that you are putting out into the world is amazing, and you need to be acknowledged for what you are doing. So I'd like to start with Jane and Phillip. Can you share with us exactly what it is that you are bringing to us in the world through your platform?
Well, we've been actually doing this for quite a while. I was thinking about it this morning. We are the founding directors of an organization called Awakenings Institute, and we originally organized it in the mid-1990s. Thinking about it just today, I was thinking, well, and we knew it. I think we were ahead of our times, and we were kind of waiting for something to catch up with us, although it wasn't that we were inactive. Awakenings Institute evolved from that time when we realized we had a mission of creating a more loving world where the unique gifts that each person offers are honored and nurtured. That it eventually, over time, we organized it as a nonprofit religious organization, as a church, actually, not to create a traditional church in that sense, but to create a place of belonging for like-minded spiritual people in whatever way that would, whatever that would mean to them. And our main work starting in the early 1990s was in healing. So it was spiritual healing, holistic hypnotherapy, NLP, Reiki, just many different modalities that we brought together and created different programs and trainings for people like us who wanted to serve the world. And I think we did that, I guess you could say, selflessly and also selfishly, because we thought, well, if love is the solution, which I think it's so clear, um, if we can help more people to open to love and to share the love, then it's going to radiate out, and that's how we can make a difference. So that's really, I think, been our focus. And Phillip, you should probably add too from your perspective.
Yes, just one note about our Awakenings Institute. It is a nonprofit organization. So we were able to align with the government, which was an interesting feat in itself years ago. And even though we've been doing this for decades now, it really has so ancient, the practices of healing and connecting and spirituality, although energy healing with holistic EFT and spiritual kinesiology, which we've developed, healing from the soul, is rather new. It is based on very long time developed awareness of the body and spirit. So it really is an honor to do this, to follow your heart. Good things happen if you do that. It happened to us. Many times we got lost. And since we were out in the wilderness, we're talking about 25 years ago, not today, where there's a lot of things available on the internet, although what we are doing is still pretty new here, all of us ahead of the curve. But 25 years ago, there was, hey, what are we doing here? Is this really just too far out? Is it too impractical? And we took a very grounded, practical approach, and we are that way. Jane is very pragmatic. So the idea is to bring the lofty principles, the lofty awareness, the healing, and connecting with spirit down to earth, and make it very practical. So it doesn't fall into, wow, this is very far out. It's very ungrounded. It doesn't really make sense. It, is, and we, we went into a lot of unusual things. And sometimes when you get into the essence of things, they are pretty far out and unbelievable and miraculous too. So you get there
Still
in
there,
different ways.
yeah.
But to translate that and to communicate that in a practical way that people can understand has really been part of our mission of bringing spirit down to earth in a grounded, practical way.
Yeah. I wanted to add one more thing too. We've been ordaining ministers as part of our mission, and we have ministers who have many different things that they do. We were actually organized with the IRS in, I think, 2004 or something. So we've been ordaining since then, and now we have a community of more than 40 ministers who are all out in the world doing their wonderful work. And with the blessings of the government, I think our motivations was to be on the church side of the division between church and state, so that people can freely do spiritual work without fear of retribution. Then there is retribution in some cases for people who are doing spiritual healing.
A lot of people may not be aware of that. If you do align yourself with the church, and most people think of it just as conventional, traditional religions, which is one part of it, but really what we're doing is spirituality can be, especially from the government, more traditional, conventional way, put into that same category, which gives you a protection and support that people might not realize is available.
Interesting. Boy, you really thought through this all those years ago.
Well, we were given a mission, and it's interesting. I think there's the concept of life purpose, and I think at a deeper level, then it becomes a mission. And I feel you have a mission too. It's very clear that you have a really a more, I guess, maybe globally centered focus on your purpose. And we were given channeled Awakenings Dream, which describes pretty much what Awakenings is about, and that was 1995. So around then, And it just has been our guidepost ever since. So, and I think we just felt so dedicated to it. We didn't care. I remember when we first started training people, we didn't care if we were, well, we did. I guess we didn't care. I mean, we all need support to be able to do what we do, but we would have done what we're doing, whether we could make money at it or not. And it's not like make money in the traditional sense. It's we're supported in able to do this work, which has been such a blessing, but we would have done it anyhow. So it just is why we're here.
And I think, Ruth, what you said about the stalwart, talking about the word, that is a good word for people listening to this.
Right.
Everyone kind of thinks about how everything relates to themselves. That's natural. And if you are stalwart, you're going to go through a lot of intervals, a lot of dark nights of the soul, a lot of resistance and self-doubt. And that is part of the journey. But if you do follow your heart and keep going, I think you'll create a wonderful life when you look back at it.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Sally. I know that what you have brought to the table with your wife, Toni, I know that has happened during COVID.
Yes.
Correct? Can you share with us what it is that you and Toni are bringing to the table?
We are bringing a holistic healing center. We're in the healing side for the most part of things. But we believe that the healing needs to begin within. So we really focus on each person and what's going on in their life, what's going on with them within them. We get them to understand that self-love is not a crime. It's not, something that you should look down on. It is actually where everything good starts from. So we try to start each person off with a really decent and solid basis to grow from spiritually. And we just help people to recognize, that life in the world is not what we've thought it to be. There's so much more, and you're capable of having everything that you want into your life. You just have to work, do some things, change your view on life and people in general, and just be open to almost anything, because since accepting my gifts and moving forward into this, almost anything's happened. Things that I thought were childhood fairy tales, just so much more. There's so much more to life. And so we just help people to embrace it and move forward with their wanting to live a better life, more wholesome life. So we help in all aspects. We do massage therapy. We do NLP work. We do past life regression, psychic mediumship work, tarot, life coaching, spiritual coaching. What else? So much. There's so much going on here, and there's more coming. So we just keep growing. We keep welcoming people in. Teri, you once told me not that long ago, watch what happens to you when you open this place, because you're going to find people are coming to you all the time because they're coming into their gifts. And it's almost like running around with like a chicken with your head cut off. For some people, myself including, I didn't really know that all this existed. I thought I could just sit down and do some readings, and that's all there was to this. And lo and behold, I found out, my goodness, this is where I was supposed to be, where I was supposed to grow into, because there's so much healing needed by so many people. And so, yeah, we're just striving to give back to anywhere from the homeless to those that are well off. Everybody needs that assistance, everybody. So we're just trying to help make people's lives a little more clearer in thinking and a little easier to get along with. And I have a class or workshop this afternoon that's teaching people to use their intuition to make their lives better. So, it's all about getting people on the right track and showing them that they're not losing their mind. This stuff is really happening to them. And I've had people from just starting to open the doors to people who were like set on fire, walking over broken glass. They are just all over the place, and gifts coming in and no guidance, none. So, and that's how I was. I had no guidance. I came into this and I had to kind of roll through everything by myself for the most part, and find people and associate myself with people who had that higher vibrations.
But Sally, not everybody has the wherewithal to open a store, open a healing center during the middle of a global pandemic.
Yeah, that was truly spirit. That was spirit and good timing. I mean, it was perfect timing because I was having coffee. It was the last part of April, and I was having a cup of coffee. No, yeah, it was last part of April. So I was drinking my coffee, and all of a sudden, I could hear spirit in the background telling me, and it sounds so corny, but they told me, if you build it, they will come. So I just chuckled it off. I said, really? That's all you've got to come at me with this morning? I said, okay, it may not make sense today, but I know I'll put it in my pocket and it will make sense later. The later was less than 24 hours later. I didn't know it was going to happen that quick. And so less than 24 hours later, Tony comes up with, let's go look for retail spaces. And so we did this, and all with the process of, it had to be in the right space. It had to be in the downtown area. We live in a very small town. So yet we had to have the right footpath. And so we were praying for the right area in the downtown area, right building. And there was, when we went to look, there was only one left. And so the rent down here, and during pandemic is why we were having such a problem with the rent. The rent down here is anywhere from $1,500 to $1,800 a month. And so through having to support our home at the same time, we were like, ugh, okay, we can do this, but we got to be very careful. And so lo and behold, Tony was praying for right around $1,000, and I was praying for right around $800 a month, and the building came in at $9,000. So it came right in between us. And so we called him, or Tony called him, and he said he had a verbal agreement. And so we said, okay, we understand. And Tony hung up the phone. I said, he's calling us back. I didn't leave room for doubt, not at all. And so the next morning he calls us back and says, well, you know what? I can't get you girls off my mind, but I have this verbal agreement. And so we said, okay, we understood. He hung up. I said, no, he's calling us back. 2 hours later, he called us back and he said, I can get you in to see it. So we made the appointment. And when Tony hung up, I said, it's ours. He's not going to get us in there to see it if it's not ours. And so we come in to see it. And the moment I stepped foot into the basement area here, I could feel all the angels here. And this was it. I wanted it. This had to be the space. And so it became the space, and we followed guidance on everything. Because mind you, we were living on a very tight budget to make sure that we didn't cut our own heads off, as far as our life and living. And so we followed intuition on everything, from the paint for the place that was going for, at the cheapest, $108 for 5 gallons. And I found it for $30 for 5 gallons. So we were doing, and we needed 10. So, we had to do a lot of penny pinching and making sure that we followed intuition strongly. And so my intuition led us to everything we needed and everything that we needed to do. We knew. And I understand what Jane is saying about just letting go, just learning to let go. And, don't worry about the details. It comes, it happens, spirit will take care of the details, but yeah, through pandemic, and we've not been sorry yet.
Right. Sally, take a quick minute and share with people about your basement.
Oh my gosh. My basement has history to it. And I don't think I was really in believing in the beginning. I wasn't sure, but we have a lot in common with Seattle. And so our town in the early 1900s had burnt down. And rather than just bulldoze everything over and start new, they built on top. So they kind of leveled things off and built on top of the old city of Allegan. And so our basements are actually the original city. the original storefronts and so on. And so if we are here right around 7, 8 o'clock in the evening, and if we are quiet, then you can start to hear the city come to life below us. You can hear the spirits, like almost like they're living their normal life. They're shopping, they're doing whatever they're doing, talking, conversating, and you can just hear the hustle and bustle of the city. And as we have come to know also, there's a way that the homeless youth, to stay warm in the winter, they come into the buildings at night. There's a way for them to get in through channels of tunnels and stuff. And so, you know, they never touch anything. They never do anything wrong. They just come in for warmth. So we kind of, you know, welcome that, you know, as long as nothing's wrong and all this, except a couple days ago, they left the back door open. So that was unlocked, and that kind of startled us a little bit. So, but you know, yeah, we have a lot of history here and a lot of things going on. We're also getting ready to open our doors to the Women's Abuse Center in the area, Sylvia's Place. And so we're doing fundraisers for domestic abuse from now until after Christmas.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Sally. And I look forward to personally experiencing the basement.
Oh, I can't wait for you too.
So let's move on. We all know that we have had a huge shift in our world. We had that pandemic. And so the next question, and Jane, I would like to ask you first, you and Phillip, did your work change as a result of COVID and the shutdown?
It changed in that there's more interest, which is really delightful to us. And I think over time, and probably more now than ever before, people come to us. I think, as Sally was suggesting too, they feel guided to come to us. And the guidance, I mean, they even say that a lot more now than they have in the past. Like, well, I was on the internet and looking around, and I've been looking for a year, and then I saw your website, and it was like, this is it. and that's exactly for us the right person. Someone who understands for themselves why they're doing what they're doing, because we do challenge people. And the work that we do is very deep, and sometimes, well, as Sally was saying, really, the way that I view spiritual development and maybe dimensional shifts is that it is a transformation of how we perceive ourselves, and that's where that dark night of the soul comes in. It's like we have to go deep within and actually reinvent who we perceive ourselves to be. From 3D people who are here, technically, you know, I had first chakra to survive. That's the strongest instinct. And as we evolve what we're doing and the transformation happens in the heart, then we move to these kind of upper reaches. And our reason for being alive is creativity, to be creators of whatever our purpose is. So it's a very different perspective on reality. And we're finding people more attuned to that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Phillip, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I will add a little bit about it seemed ironic to us that our business actually picked up with the COVID-19. And I guess there are some reports that certain segments are doing even better amidst the pandemic and all the problems that have arisen. But part of the way I understand it is it's like a giant retreat is going on, and some of it is it's very terrible and crushing, and some of it is, I think, spiritualizing people in general, and that they have to kind of look at their lives, partly because society is broken down, and what do they want to do with it? And fortunately, especially for Jane and myself, since we have such a large internet presence that we've developed for over 20 years, people look at things from their home via the internet, which has been nice for us to connect with many people.
It's been a great time, actually, for us. And I think for spirituality, I think for people who want, well, for everybody, we're being forced to look deeper.
So true. So very true. Sally, tell us about you and Tony and how your work changed as a result of COVID.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, we were kind of in this thought mode that Tony could partially retire and come here, but it's only partially retiring from her physical job. She's the massage therapist, so she works for a chiropractor, and so it was only partially retiring. So she's only working for him for the most part in the morning, and then she comes here and works here, but she's just as busy. They found her. People have found her. They drive from other areas to come see her, to come see us, actually. They found, like you said, they found our website. And I've had people walk to the door and say, you know, I just had to come see you. I'm drawn to you. I have read here for people from Mississippi, Florida, Oklahoma, Louisiana. And these people are coming in to visit with this excitement that we're here. And not just the readings, it's all aspects of my life. And I have, right now, I have 7 titles, and there's like 6 more coming, but they're hitting every aspect that I offer. And they're coming in heavy. I'm busy all the time. And where this changed is before COVID, I was doing maybe 1 or 2 here and there, far and few in between. I'm busy all the time now. There's not enough hours in the day. There's not enough time. There's not enough me to do what I need to do for other people. So it's crazy. We're actually starting to hire now and pull more people in because we can't keep up with the load. There's 2 that own the shop and another person that works through here. But we need more. we need more help. There's nobody else like us in the really close vicinity. There's one place about 30 minutes or so away, but they don't offer everything that we offer. So there's just a lot of people coming in, and then there's people. I've had one woman walk in the door and say, "I don't even know why I'm here. I have no clue, but I know that when I walked by, I had to be here." And so she came in and she wound up, asking me, "So tell me about you guys." And through me talking, it come very apparent that she wanted to do a reading. And so through doing the reading through her, it came up that it was because her son had guided her in here. And he had just committed suicide 1 week before. And I have never in my lifetime received spirit so soon after. And their spirit is coming. Spirit's telling me, I need you to tell this person that. And I just had this morning. I had somebody had just passed away pop up behind me, and he was such a strong male energy that I had chills all the way up to my cheekbones. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I just he made me flip around really quick. And I looked at the person, I said, "It's you. I need to tell you this." And I just had to tell her, "I'm okay." And that's all he could manage to tell me at the time was, "I'm okay." And I felt horrible because then she started crying. And so I was hugging her, and, but she needed to hear that for her family. And his memorial's not even till next Saturday. So they really needed to hear that, that he was okay. He's doing good. It's just that getting used to the transition of life.
Sally, where is your store?
What was that?
Where is Enlightenment?
Oh, okay. We are in Allegan, Michigan, right in the downtown area. It's a beautiful old building built in 1884. 1884. So yeah, it's a lot of historical area, a lot of buildings, and wow, you'd be surprised at how many people are coming up to us and telling us, "We own one of these shops and our basement's going through some stuff too." So yeah, all the storefronts around here are experiencing spirits. And so they're even drawn to us, coming to find us and so on, and making connection. And so We've even had one store owner show us their little find. We're all finding things in our basements, and they actually found 75 human teeth in a jar in their basement.
That wasn't.
As soon as the lady told me this, she was from California. As soon as she told me this, right away spirit kicked in, and they were showing me a barber that had his foot on that, I don't know what that thing was called, the chair that, raises up and down, the pedestal thing. And he had his foot on there and he was prying the teeth out. So it was a dentist that used to do this back in the early or the late 1800s. And so, yeah, 75 teeth. He kept collectors things, I don't know, memorabilia from his patients. It's a crazy place, and they every now and then they do tours of the basement areas, and I would love to do the tour.
Wait for me.
So the reason you all are here is because of the leadership that you have been bringing to the table. And part of that leadership is supporting others while they take their steps so they can then in turn become leaders. Marianne Williamson wrote, this is a small excerpt from a larger piece she wrote, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your plain small does not serve the world." As Marianne wrote, your plain small does not serve the world. Jane and Phillip, what advice can you offer to someone who is nervous or perhaps feeling unworthy to step into their calling and put their message out into the world?
Well, I would say that each of us is a special, unique, magnificent spiritual being with beautiful gifts to offer. And it may not be in a conventional, like I have the best IQ or I'm the, tallest, thinnest woman, or we have to really, along with everything else, transform our perspective on what a unique genius might look like. And I think we have to be able to reach deep down inside and find the beauty within ourselves, which is always there. And it is when I see the people in our class, we do Zoom, our class is on Zoom, and it's like all of these beautiful beings around me. I mean, I'm honored to be in their presence. And I think that it is really connecting with the truth that comes with love. For some reason, and I don't know why it came to me this morning, I was thinking, I guess doing this made me think back a little at where I've come from. There was a time when I couldn't even tell someone I loved them because I didn't think anyone would care. And it really is a reflection of, for me, my perspective on who I thought I was. And I felt I was a deeply flawed human being. But I'm not just a human being, I'm a spiritual being. And I, like everybody else, I have gifts, and I think it is just an honor to be able to help others to open to theirs. I think another aspect of this also, in addition to looking at society's idea of what a genius would be, or someone who has unique talents or special talents, we tend to look at our strengths and compare, rather than comparing our strengths to other other people, which is unnecessary anyhow. What we do is we compare our weaknesses to other people's strengths. And then we say, well, gee, this person is so good at this, and look at me, I'm just this horrible, blah, blah, blah. And all of this stuff going on inside, where we're not here to be strong in everything. We're here to be ourselves and to just embody that. Like Phillip said, bringing spirit fully into form means fully embodying ourselves and then manifesting the life that we're here to manifest from that perspective. So I think it is, and that's what holds us down. I think if you look at healing, the different levels of healing, the deepest level is the spiritual level, and it is about our perspective on who we are. So whether we see ourselves as flawed or unworthy, or, there's something there that we're seeing that needs to be released
It was
and
beautiful.
transformed.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Oh,
Phillip,
thank you.
anything to add to that?
Yes. I think it's normal for everyone to doubt themselves, especially when they're embarking more into the spiritual journey and the path. And right now although as Sally was saying, things are opening up really wonderfully, it's still pretty unknown and not that firm in society, as we all know. So I remember now this is going back years ago. And one of the first things I did was create a video for communicating with children when I was an educator, school teacher many years ago, 25 plus. And an advisor would ask me at one point when I was trying to create this video back then well, you have to be prepared to answer the question, who died and made you God? It's kind of an interesting, it kind of stopped me in my tracks. I paused and reflected for a moment. And what I realize now is, I am a piece of God. We all are. And that's the passion in my heart was coming out for this particular project at that time, although we don't really work with children so much directly now. And I found that, and that's what I would recommend to people who are maybe beginning the path or wondering whether they can do that, or if they're going to face criticism and so forth, to just follow your heart. You'll get the sparks, you'll get the guidance and support, as we've all been saying.
Yeah, and just one extra thing with that, what Phillip was saying is it for me, that change happened when I opened to love in my heart. Because we need to just clear out all of those doubts that we have about ourselves in this area. And that's why I wear something with a heart every day. And I love having hearts around me. You can probably see some. Love, it's all about love.
It is all about love. Yes. Sally, what about you? For somebody who is feeling unworthy or unready to step into their calling, what advice do you have for them? We're working on the unmute there.
It muted me and I couldn't. There we go. Okay. It's all about the love. I couldn't say it any better, because this is what I preach all the time, day in and day out, to love yourself. I have so many people that come in for life coaching or just advice. And I always find myself telling them, you have to begin within. You have to learn to love yourself, to realize that you are a creation of God. You were made in his likeness. And once you start to love yourself, the world's going to change. It's going to transmute for you. But that's what I do. I talk them through transmuting their negativity into something positive. And I teach them how to control their anger. I'm firm. I'm a good example for that. I used to have a huge temper. Wow. Past 7 years, I don't know what happened to it, because everything about me was transmuted. And I've been gifted my whole life. It's just, now I learned that it's here. It begins here. Love yourself first. See yourself as worthy, because you are worthy. So yeah, that would be the best advice, is telling them to just accept yourself for who you are. You're not perfect, and we're not supposed to be. No matter what, we're still here to be human, and we have those human experiences. But if we include spirit in with them, it makes it less burdensome. And it's so much easier once you learn that, to transmute the negativity into positivity and move forward that way.
I think that point about perfection, I think that Sally just made, is a big one, because we're taught that we have to be perfect.
Yes.
We think, well, if I'm not perfect, then there's something wrong with me. Well, what if you don't have to be perfect and you can just start flowing with life and give it up? It's so much easier.
And the flow is perfect.
Yeah.
Get into the flow. So as leaders, we are constantly giving and doing for others. So the question for you now is, how do you feel that reservoir inside of you so that you can lead and help others? So Jane, would you like to address that first?
I missed the one of the words. How do you do what? So
How do you feel that reservoir? How do you fill yourself up?
how do you fill yourself up?
Feel what's inside so that you can constantly be that leader.
Well, when we actually, I think it was in the 1990s, we lived in Sacramento, California, which was not a good place for us. We knew it was not the right place for us. And it took us some years to actually be able to get to the right place, which for us is the central coast of California. We love being by the ocean. And when we got here, that also was the time, shortly after the time when we actually had both moved into being full-time with this work. And with that having happened, I think we both reevaluated how we wanted to view our days, our daily lives, and really, I was an architect before, and it was very regimented and very challenging. And also there's that kind of, you end up with this kind of 9 to 5 mentality. Like, if I don't do this much work every day, then there's something wrong with me, like I'm not doing my share. And Phillip has actually, I think, scientific statistics about that. So we decided to reinvent the way that we conduct our lives, and we've created our lives in a way that we have time for relaxation. We have time for going out and enjoying ourselves. And I think we have intentionally built those things in as part of our self-care, because I think to really fully be present for someone else, you have to be full yourself first. We went one time, we used to go to Lake Tahoe in California, and there was this big mansion. We went on a tour of it, and they took us through. There was this grand living room, and then this dining room that was like the longest table in the world, like 50 people could sit there, and then into this gigantic kitchen where the servers would create the meals for people. And then on the other side of the giant kitchen, there was another giant dining room for all of the people who were the servers. And what they said is that they had to feed themselves first to be able to serve others. And that's the way we do it. We feed ourselves first.
Beautiful.
And we love it. I mean, we create a life that's joyful for us.
Beautiful. Phillip?
So to continue where maybe Jane left off, yes, we set up this wonderful life and where things are in alignment for doing what we love and taking time to self-care and nurture ourselves and have nice things around us to buoy up our spirits and pets and so forth, and living in a nice place. And I think for me, it is remembering that life is a sacred journey. It's easy to take things for granted and get off track and even get into negative thinking or preoccupied with things. But it is a sacred journey, because if you look, say if this were your last day on earth right now, this was it. I mean, you'd look back and say, wow, my life was really important. I mean, you might have regrets, maybe hopefully not. We're trying to live our life so we don't have any regrets, by the way. And I'm not aware right now of any regrets I have. I might have missed some, but that's the goal. So in other words, if something you're regretful for, take care of it now. Don't wait until the end or unfinished business. So anyways, yeah, that point of making the day a sacred part of the sacred journey of your life.
Well, and Phillip, you told me recently you were reading about a lot of creative people, and they their work days are not that long. They have a lot of time
Right.
for developing their creativity.
Yeah, there's a book
Can
called
you recall any of that?
Rest, where a lot of the people who are most creative, there's sort of a stereotype that people who are creative are working around the clock. But when they actually examine people who are most productive, they're very focused, like probably we all are when they're actually doing their work, but the amount of time per day is short. In other words, you might work very intensely for a few hours, but then you go for a walk in the park, you take time off, because otherwise you burn yourself out, and you have a very short time period that you can be able to do that. It just doesn't seem to work. So that's kind of a little interesting secret where it goes against what people might think is being productive.
Right.
It's the quality, not the quantity, and the quality actually makes quantity.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it's all about the quality. I love it. Sally, how about you? How do you refill your?
I like that, Phillip, because I live my life like that. I do. And I'm learning balance within my life. And I wasn't quite sure how to work home and a dog and 2 cats and life here. And we're here 90% of our time. But I've come to realize that getting my cats were to teach me balance within my life. And so I'm learning that balance through, if I'm going to do a morning of session after session after session, then in the afternoon, I am going to have a creative afternoon. I give back to myself. I allow myself to sit there and just let those creative juices flow, whether I'm creating new workshops, or I'm painting, or I'm making jewelry, or I'm making bath products, or, I do things that I enjoy to do because they're fun. This keeps me going. It keeps me fueled up and ready to serve, whoever comes through the door. But we both kind of, we call it quits. When it's time, it's time. We go home, because if we don't, Spirit is quick to tell us here, get out of here, go home. I've received that message loud and clear and recorded where it said, get out. They wanted us to go home. And it was already getting dark here. So we've been here quite the amount of hours, and we just kind of let everything go to Spirit. And Spirit is finding this way to teach us. This is how you make this day work. Even if we are very busy, if one of us needs to be covered or whatever, we get the answers. We know how to do it. So we just kind of let everything go over to Spirit. To keep refueling us. It, like I said, and like they said, it is all about the love. And we constantly remind ourselves of this every day, day in, day out. This is why we do this. Even on the days we are tired, this is why we do this, because there was one extra person that day that needed to be lifted, needed to be cared for, or reminded that they were loved. Seeing somebody smile when they came in with a frown and they leave here happy, that's what fuels me. That's what fuels Tony, is knowing that we are helping people physically, emotionally. We're helping them break free of dependent ways on things that weren't necessarily good for them, helping them to recognize the ways that they can make their life better. Those are the things that fuel me, by seeing somebody else's life get better.
I think whatever a person is doing too, if you think you're doing something for a purpose, it should be the most joyful thing you can imagine doing.
Absolutely.
And so that part, I think you were expressing that, Sally. It is the work itself. Well, like doing the meditation with you yesterday, Teri, that was total joy for me.
Absolutely.
And that's the way I feel about the work that I do with our students and clients and all of the people we connect with and support through our institute is, it is the work I'm here to do. I can't imagine doing anything else. And then of course there's that other side, and I'm like Sally, I'm creative. I make jewelry. I do, all kinds of little projects and just enjoy life.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And don't forget to breathe.
Right.
I don't know how, there was times where I was told to breathe once too many. And I was like, no, it's not all about breathing. But you know what? Yes, it is. It is.
Right. Being your
As
body
long as you remember your breathing, it can get you through anything.
Yeah. Yeah. If you find yourself in a momentum, it's like the moment versus momentum.
Yeah.
Life is in the moment. And if you just stop, if you find yourself in a momentum, just stop and breathe love.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody, for that. I'm reminded that it was Archangel Michael that brought us the title of Tenacious Leadership for this show. And it was Archangel Michael that told us who to bring in together to acknowledge. So I do hope that you are feeling that you are being acknowledged, that you are being appreciated for that which you have been doing over the years. That's so cool. Thank you for that reminder. So Jane and Phillip, if folks want to follow your work or find you, how do they do that?
We have a fairly large website because we did start on the internet in the 1990s, and it's at gettingthrough.org, gettingthru.org. And there's /gettingthrough.org/awakenings. You can read about Awakenings Institute, about the mission and the Awakening Stream, which I still find beautiful. Gettingthrough.org/holistic connects you with a lot of our trainings and courses. And there are other sections to the website too, gettingthrough.org/spiritual. Once you get there, you can poke around, and there are free offerings. There for people who are interested in knowing more about how they can connect. We offer free strategy sessions. So just enjoy.
There's a lot of free offerings, and we've written many things and videos and so forth. And that's getting thru.org/awakenings or /holistic.
Okay, thank you. And you also have a show on Sunday evenings.
Right. Tonight. Yeah.
Called Soulful Living here on Enlightened World.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Great.
And we appreciate people who come and comment.
Yeah,
it's fun. We have a good time.
That's the facebook.com/soul of success is where you find it /soul of success.
And it's on Enlightened World Network. You can just come to Enlightened World
Right.
Network. And what we do with that is every week we have one tip, just something a person can focus on in the week ahead, and something that maybe they can integrate into their life. So it's again bringing spirit fully into form.
Right.
Excellent. Thank you. And Sally, if folks want to know more about you and Zen Enlightenment, how do they do that?
Okay, you can reach us through zenlightenment.live. We have a website there that is still it's still in the up and coming stage. So it's not so pretty, but yeah, we're working on getting that a little bit better looking. But you can go on there and you can click on the 3 lines at the top, and it'll say meet the team. And you can go right in there and meet everybody that works throughout here. But I'm being told, this is for you two, Teri and Ruth. I'm being told that you two need to create this award called the Silver Soul. And you give an award to those people that you are presenting. So Silver Soul. I have this ringing in my head throughout this whole show. Oh my God, really? But yeah, so they want you to create a Silver Soul Award so you can mail this to people and tell them you are recognized. But yeah, so we work through there. I also have Facebook groups. There's a business page on there that is, I'm just starting to enter all the products through and all the services and so on like that. But Zen Enlightenment, the Facebook group page, I offer a lot of free readings on there to help people out, guidance and advice and so on, but a connection with like-minded people. That's important. That is so important. I was like a fish out of water without guidance. And so I don't want to see people do that. But yes, we offer a lot of guidance through there, a lot of, assistance. If we don't know the answer, 9 times out of 10, we know somebody that does. So we'll do the digging for you if we have to. But absolutely, check us out. And, yeah, it's a good place to be. Good place to be.
Excellent. Phillip, Jane, and Sally, on behalf of Enlightened World, and Archangel Michael, thank you so much for the work that you're putting out in the world. We appreciate you so much. And to our friends at home that are watching, thank you. Thank you for being here with us. Teri and I love each and every one of you. We're so glad you're here with us. So stay tuned to Enlightened World Network for other shows coming up. But that's all for today. So thank you and God bless.
Well, thank you both.
Thank you.